going on, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Smark, guys. It is Saturday, November 6th. Sorry, falling into the black hole here of
2010.
or the end of the 2010.
Still there, okay.
Yeah, we're still in that year. 3 shows to talk about this week. We had Raw and SmackDown, and then also Impact. Next week's show will be a little bit more, a little bit longer because it has the TNA pay-per-view. Not Bound for Glory.
Turning Point.
They just had one. Yeah, they just had one. So it's like, it's reminding me of what WWF or WWE just did, where they just had 2 pay-per-views like within 3 weeks.
Was it like 3 weeks ago? Or was
it was the WWE one.
The last TNA one.
It was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it hasn't even been a full month.
Seems like it was really soon, because nothing's happened since then.
Exactly.
So it's like.
So anyway, we'll start off with
shows us people really good.
We'll start off with the WWE stuff, and then we'll move on to Impact as always. So we're starting off with this week's Raw because obviously we talked about SmackDown last week, and we're going to try to film these every Saturday from now on because it does make a little bit more sense with the format to cover all the shows that happen during the week. So we're going to try. We're not promising that it'll always work out like that, but we'll try to fit in the whole week's shows that have previously happened. So Raw for November 1st, it opened with Randy Orton coming out and basically cutting a promo in the ring to John Cena, basically saying, listen, this pay-per-view's coming up. Cena's now the special guest referee as a result of that gimmick match that they had the week before on Raw.
Right.
And he's afraid that Cena's going to screw him because if you didn't see last week's Raw, there's all these weird stipulations that have been going on in these title matches recently. And in this next one coming up, it's going to be Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton with Cena as the guest referee. Now, if Barrett wins the title, basically he's going to release Cena from having to be part of the Nexus.
Everybody write this down.
Yeah, exactly. You have to keep notes, and you should have flowcharts on your wall just in case, because you change it any time.
Yep.
Now, if Barrett loses the match or does not win I think it's not lose, but if he does not win the title, Cena is fired. So basically, it's a lose-lose situation for Cena either way, because either he gives Nexus the title or he gets fired. And the question is, which option is Cena going to choose? And that's why Orton's in the ring cutting this promo to open Raw. So now we got that explanation out of the way. As Orton's giving this promo, Nexus hits the stage, and it looks like Barrett's going to come to the ring almost to try to break up what Randy Orton is saying, but then all of a sudden there's an email that comes in from the anonymous general manager.
Do you notice the crowd reaction when that thing happens now?
Massive boos, just insane amount of boos. It's always Michael Cole that gets up.
It's not like the good kind of boos in wrestling where it's like, I love to hate this. It's just like, this is fucking horrible.
This is like, why do you do this every week? Stop doing this gimmick, kind of a thing.
It's just going too long at this point.
So anyway, the GM emailed supposedly and announced that there's going to be a tag team match tonight. It's going to be a preview of the title match coming up at the next pay-per-view. Wade Barrett and a partner of his choosing is going to tag against Randy Orton and a partner of his choosing, but John Cena is going to be the referee, and so supposedly this will test Cena's abilities to see if he's a fair and
his
just ref. Exactly.
Why does he even care about Orton, considering Randy Orton's father, he kicked Cena's father in the head?
I know. Well, again, this is
why is he just like, I'll just screw you, and then
every 2 years, their stuff reboots, so it's like there's no continuity. He doesn't remember that Randy Orton kicked his father in the freaking head a couple of years ago. Put him in the hospital with a concussion. But
happened.
Yeah. So anyway, up next there was a tag team match of Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater, who were the new tag team champions as of last week, against the Hart Dynasty. Now, this is a really weird match because they've been teasing that the Hart Dynasty is going to break for like 2 months now. They've been teasing this breakup. They're walking to the ring. They're not even walking to the ring together. So obviously something's going to happen in the match, and of course it does. One of them hits the other inadvertently, causes them to lose the match, and so there's all these hard feelings at the end of the match. And it's like, come on, how long are they going to tease that they're going to break up, and they don't break up? Every week this happens.
Well, they just kiss and make up. And where's Bret Hart? Why does he come out there and straighten this shit out?
It's weird because Bret came back for the match against Nexus and then vanished. So
it's like, smack him around and go, we're family here.
Maybe he didn't have a long-term agreement or something with WWE. Maybe it was he was going to test the waters and see if they liked him on Raw.
I think the McMahons just love having the Harts fight each other. Because they had Owen and Brett fight all the
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, you guys are to fight now. You're the next generation.
That was the angle for quite a while, so maybe it's just, I don't know.
We're going to make your family look like a bunch of asses again.
But they're just dragging it out again, and it's like, if you're going to split. If you're going to team up, but make up your mind, because every week, when they come out, they're going to lose the match, and it's like, this is just a waste of our 15 minutes now, because we know this angle's going on.
Remember the Bret Hart-Bob Backlund match? Where Owen threw the towel?
Threw in the towel.
The parents were there.
Yes.
We should redo that with these guys.
throw in the towel. No, it cannot continue.
They could have the Anvil come out. I'll throw the towel in because Natalia's like in
the Anvil. Wow.
Well, that's Natalia's father.
I know, that'd be great.
So like, David Hart Smith has like Natalia in like the CrossFit chicken wing, and then whatever.
Oh my god. But that's the other weird thing is that Natalya has her own angle kind of going on outside of the other.
Like, fuck this.
Yeah, like she's just going for the women's title. But we'll talk about that later. So up next, there was an R-Truth and Cena promo in the back. Again, this is kind of the same promo that's happened like 3 weeks in a row now.
Where you're a crook.
R-Truth keeps saying, listen, yo, dog, you know, you're the best thing on Raw, but really, you got to make a decision on what you're going to do, and you should just quit. He keeps saying the same thing week in, week out. So,
why does Wade Barrett allow this? Cena should be segregated from the...
Yes, why is he allowed to go to the common locker room? So up next there was a promo by Sheamus. Now if you remember, last week Sheamus actually lost a match to Santino Marella, of all people. So he comes out and he says, listen, I beat myself. Santino didn't beat me. It's my fault for getting distracted. And therefore, I want a rematch with Santino right now. Santino comes out and, of course, being the comic relief that he is, says that he has a stomach ache because of all the candy he ate on Halloween, but he has a opponent for Sheamus, which ends up being Vladimir Kozlov. So here's a guy who used to actually be pushed as like a beast, a monster, and now he's a joke.
There's a lot of those guys. There's like Kali kind of became a joke. And
yep. After having all those matches like Big Show and Undertaker, he was
trying to like the big guys. They try to make them look as monsters, and they kind of like once that whole thing is kind of crushed.
Yeah, they become the comic relief.
Like right now they're just comical.
Right. So anyway, they have their match. It actually is a decent match. They go back and forth, but of course, as you feared was going to happen, Sheamus wins, and then there's a tease that Sheamus is going to beat the living crap out of Santino. Santino's slowly backing up the ramp, and then John Morrison actually comes out and makes the save for the second week in a row, because Morrison's the reason Santino won last week by distracting Sheamus in the ring. Obviously, this is leading up to a Sheamus-Morrison match at some point down the road, but we're not too sure when.
That's good, you know, trying to build some matches.
It's building up. At least it's making sense, and it's actually giving someone like Santino something useful to do rather than do a promo in the fucking back. And
it also puts John Morrison in a prominent position, too, and he's a good talent. So.
Sure. So up next, there's a really random promo in the back with Pee Wee Herman, who is the special guest. Now, he's not the host, he's just the special guest. Apparently, they've now changed the formula for Raw, where there's no more celebrity hosts. There's just a celebrity there for no reason. So Pee Wee Herman is on this week, and he's talking to Mark Henry. And I don't even remember, it was a really weird conversation about Mark Henry being sad that Evan Bourne isn't on the show because he's injured or something like that.
He's basically doing his routine from 20 years ago.
Right.
But does Pee Wee Herman really fit with the PG WWE? What did he do? He was
well, that's the thing.
Masturbating in a movie theater.
For those that don't know, the reason that he actually went away from show business for a while is he went to jail for doing these crude sexual things in public. But now he actually has a show on Broadway that is it's actually his same show he used to do on TV.
Yeah, it's got good reviews and stuff too.
So people are saying it's funny. It's it's for adults and kids. So he's trying to promote his new show. So that's why they're doing this. But anyway, really random. All the divas show up. They start playing Diva Twister, and then Lita makes a cameo. And it's like, why is she here? And it didn't go anywhere. She wasn't on the show. She didn't go into any interview or angle. She was just there for 5 seconds. And
the storyline on the internet, which you always have to take with a grain of salt, but said she's a big Pee Wee Herman fan.
What the fuck?
And then she heard he was going to be on the show. So
and she demanded to be on the show.
She called and asked if she could appear on the show. And they were happy to have her back, because I guess they've been trying to get her come back for a while.
Well, who knew that the thing that would cinch her return would be Pee Wee Herman? Yeah. I mean,
the sad thing that comes out of that, though, is like the biggest story coming out of Raw, the most exciting thing people were talking about was Lita returns
for 5 seconds.
And if that's really Lita coming back, that's exciting. Like if that's the most exciting thing, then I mean it
was a pretty slow show.
Yeah.
So up next is Zack Ryder versus Ezekiel Jackson, but now they're calling him Zeke. Obviously it's a squash because Zack Ryder is the jobber right now on Raw. He was just to everyone. So really quick match there. Zeke looks really strong. Then it's announced that the tag team match for the main event is now going to be Randy Orton and R-Truth will be teaming up against Barrett and Otunga. He's actually chosen Otunga as his tag team partner, which is a weird selection because if you've been watching Raw for the past couple of weeks, you've been seeing there's some tension between the two regarding leadership. So now Pee Wee Herman hits the ring and he starts making all these jokes. He's going through his old spiel from his show where he says there's a secret word and all that kind of stuff. If you saw Pee Wee's Playhouse back in the day, you know what it is. If not, you probably have no clue what the hell's going on.
These guys, a lot of people watching were born like 10 years after that. But.
Right, so they're like, what is this, that we're watching? Who is this guy? So anyway, The Miz comes out and starts making fun of him, but then Pee Wee kind of goes back at him, and they get into a verbal altercation, and Pee Wee says, well, my cousin's here. So I'm going to have him come out and kick your ass. And who is it? It's The Big Show comes out dressed in the full giant-sized Pee Wee Herman suit, the classic Pee Wee Herman white sneakers. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And really dumb, they go back and forth. And so they get into a little scuffle, and then it gets announced that actually there's going to be a match of Big Show versus Miz after the commercial break.
It would have been better if Big Show turned on Pee Wee in a swerve.
Oh my god.
So Pee Wee versus Big Show.
Oh yes, at the next pay-per-view.
At the next 4 pay-per-views. A
long series of matches.
A race to 7.
Then we'll go back the race to 7. Yes, and then you can have Lawrence Fishburne come and dressed as the cowboy to assist him and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, that was actually on his show. Lawrence Fishburne used to play a cowboy on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Rob Zombie used to work on that show as well.
Yes, he did. He had a couple special appearances and worked on the show as well. So anyway, a little random trivia there.
Yes.
They have the match. Miz ends up DQing himself by using the briefcase to end the match. So why was the match ever made? I have no idea.
Why doesn't he use the goddamn briefcase? Why is he fighting Big Show versus Pee Wee Herman?
And did you
All
notice?
this other nonsense.
Did you notice that they're not giving him a new briefcase? Like his briefcase is the actual briefcase from the pay-per-view, so it's all fucked up now. There's dents in it, and the paint's coming off.
I like that actually.
And it's funny because he probably asked for another case, and they said, "No, asshole, you're the one that made a dent in it, so now you get to keep that same case." What kind of budget do you think we're working on here? We can't get you briefcases every week.
They're more concerned with the continuity of the briefcase than the actual
the plot line.
The interaction with the wrestlers.
Oh my goodness. So now there's another promo in the back with Nexus and Cena, and this is a funny one because Barrett basically says, "So Cena, you're gonna make me win this match tonight, and after that you can wash the floor and you can scrub my back and you can do all this stuff." And it's really odd the way that he said it. It was like, "Do you really want another man scrubbing your back?" It's like, okay. But then Atunga kind of steps in.
So if they do it on the show on Raw,
as long as
you do that.
Oh my god. So then Atunga steps in and says, "Well, don't worry. As long as you raise my hand as the winner of this match, you won't have to do that stuff because I'm better than Barrett anyway, and you know that I deserve to win this match." So now obviously there's some more tension.
So you can rub my feet.
That's right. You only have to massage my ass cheeks for me.
Massage my privates.
John.
That's what he said.
What the fuck?
That's what he said.
So all right, the next match. There's a lot of matches on Raw surprisingly this week.
Yeah, that's good.
Ted DiBiase Jr. came out, and it was him against Daniel Bryan. It was a decent back and forth match.
Very good. It was kind of short.
But it was short. That is absolutely right. And Daniel Bryan ended up winning it with the LeBell Lock, which is good. Now they're actually finally, he's won 4 matches in a row. He's getting some momentum for being a champion.
It's not like they make Ted DiBiase look good, though. It's not like oh, fuck, you beat Ted DiBiase.
I don't know the last time Ted DiBiase won a match, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd like to see him go over someone that's got like some credibility at this point. But
so next was the typical once a week, we have to have Late Cool come out and do something against whoever is the current woman in the running for the women's championship. So this week it's Natalya, and so now you find out Natalya is going to get a title shot at Survivor Series if she can beat Michelle McCool tonight. So they're wrestling, and she accidentally kicks Layla in the face. There's a little bit of a confusion, and Natalya rolls her up for the win. But this happens every time. She gets the number 1 contender spot, and she immediately jobs in the women's match.
They got to stretch it out. There's only like 4 women that can wrestle in the company.
So now it sets up the match Natalya versus Lay Cool, or whoever in Lay Cool they decide to actually wrestle for Survivor Series for the title.
Natalya's a good worker. She gets the title.
One other weird thing that I don't get: didn't they just do bragging rights? So if they did bragging rights, why are they doing Survivor Series? Isn't it the same thing?
Very strange. I think they forgot Survivor Series was coming.
Yeah,
so they're just like.
They just did this broad, this. What are they going to do for Survivor Series now? And you notice they haven't even been mentioning it at all. Like they haven't said anything about a Survivor Series match yet. So it's really weird leading up to Survivor Series.
I don't think maybe it's not going to have Survivor Series matches.
Why would they call it Survivor Series? And why not rename it something
They actually
else?
did, a couple of months ago, they actually said they were going to replace it. Then they brought it back, though. So I don't know.
What the hell? They don't know what they're doing. All right, so up next...
The buy rates for the pay-per-views are tanking anyway. So I think they're just trying to figure out shit.
John, I think I'm going to let you talk about this next part. I think you know what part of the show it is that I'm talking about. And this is what everyone is just
Okay.
There's a big question mark over their head. Like all week, everyone's like, "What is going on?"
All right, so a little intro on this. I've seen, I've been watching the WWE for about 20 years. I've seen all kinds of crazy, bizarre things, including Triple H having sex with a dead body.
Mm-hmm. That was a good episode.
All kinds of other things I don't want to get into just because it hurts my head too much.
HBK super kicking children.
Yeah, all kinds of shit like that. But he had a segment with Vince McMahon waking up. This is probably one of the most bizarre ones I've seen. But Vince McMahon waking up from a coma. That Nexus put him in the coma, so he wakes up. Freddie Prinze Jr. is his doctor. He proceeds to...
That's just the first sentence of what he's about to say.
Yes.
That's not the weird thing.
He proceeds to mock the company by waking up this coma. What's going on with the WWE? Don't tell me Daniel Bryan's a U.S. champion. And then Freddie Prinze is like, yes, he is. So he mocks that.
He mocks everything that's been going on for the past.
He mocks his
months
wife's
on the product.
campaign by saying Freddie Prinze says she spent $50 million of her own money, $50 million, all this shit. So he makes fun of. He basically mocks the campaign, mocks his own company, gets up out of the bed, acts like he has like a diarrhea shit coming. Which I don't understand because he had a head trauma,
right?
Not like an intestinal issue. So he's talking about having a big diarrhea shit is coming. Then he says something. He talks about something else. Then he goes back to talking about how he's gonna shit.
Yeah.
He turns around and shows his exposed ass, which has a Blumenthal, who was Linda's opponent
for Senate
for
Connecticut.
One of his banners is on his backside.
On his ass, stuck to his ass.
Okay. So then we go to, I guess this was a dream.
Yeah, it cuts away.
And shows Stephanie McMahon
waking up in her bed.
Right. He goes, honey, my father's in a coma, right? And then you hear Triple H
off camera.
It's obviously him. You don't show him, but you hear him, and he says, "No, your father's brain damage." Blah blah blah. And she's like, "Oh, good, okay." And she goes back to sleep. But it's just fucking bizarre, you know.
Well, what and why? Like, I think that everyone who saw that kind of said, "What the fuck did we just see?" And why on earth would they have put that on Raw? Like, I don't think anyone can figure out what was the purpose. Was it funny?
Someone thought it was funny.
Not really. I mean, it could have been funny if it made sense in some context.
Right.
But I think everyone that wanted to laugh was like, well, I don't understand what I'm watching to know if this is a joke or not and if I should be laughing.
It was almost a throwback to the Attitude Era where they used to do this kind of stuff. There was a skit where Vince McMahon was in the hospital, and Austin showed up.
Hit him with the bedpan and all that.
Yeah, it was like this kind of comical stuff. But, the meat of that was an Austin versus McMahon feud, and that's kind of like what it was about, what it led to. This had like no, where do you go with this? What was the purpose of this? And on top of that, he's like mocking the election process the day before the election. So what is he explains this to his wife, and she's like, yeah, do that.
I know.
Like, I'm gonna get out of bed. I'm gonna pretend like I have to.
I'm gonna have your opponent's name on my asshole, and then you're gonna win the election tomorrow.
Right. So. Do they talk about this?
I don't know. I just don't understand what that was, and I think it was like probably the biggest, what has to be the biggest what the fuck moment of this year. Like, what were they thinking? Where did that come from? How did that advance the product? I couldn't figure out if they were trying to advance the product, the campaign, or what it was. Like, you really couldn't tell.
It doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't set up anything. It doesn't make money for them.
Right.
It's just like Vince thought it was funny.
So let's just do it.
So periodically this will happen.
Vince hasn't been on TV for too long, so let's get his face out there for some weird.
It looks fucking awful. Like his stupid haircut.
Yeah.
Remember, we used to have the more like the back.
Yeah.
So he's just got that little side. It looks horrible.
You should shave his head like he was doing for a while. Honestly, I think he was better when he was
like in his
shaving.
He's in his 60s, acting like he's got to take a diarrhea shit. His wife is running. His wife is running for Senate. And
I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
The day before his wife's running for Senate, he's mocking the thing.
So anyway,
so everyone stand up for WWE.
Stand up for WWE, but not too fast because you might shit yourself.
Yeah. Stand up for WWE. Well, walk around town. Acting like you have to shit your pants, put a Blumenthal thing on your ass, and knock on people's doors.
Yes.
Because you're standing up for them, you're helping them. Like a Jehovah's Witness, you knock on their door and you say,
or do you support WWE?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Alright. So anyway, moving on to the main event. There's not much to say. It was a pretty standard tag match. Cena's the referee. He actually misses the hot tag. of R-Truth to Orton because he was actually trying to keep Otunga out of the ring, which is what the ref should be doing. But of course, Orton's not too happy about that. But he ends up, he does get the hot tag, so it's Truth and Otunga in the ring. They collide in the middle of the ring, which actually looked like it fucking hurt. Because both of those guys are really cut, and so I'm sure that must have fucking stung. But it ends up that R-Truth ends up rolling up Otunga for the win, and Wade Barrett is extremely pissed off that Cena actually counted a 3 count for Orton and R-Truth, and that ends a spectacular episode of Raw.
Right. Should we election mention?
Well, go ahead.
Tuesday was the election in Connecticut, and congratulations to Linda McMahon for losing.
It was a narrow loss, to be completely honest. It was within 5 points, which is almost unheard of for someone like her.
It was about 100,000 votes.
Yeah.
So the guy showed up against his Dick Blumenthal, I guess his name is. He's had other positions
many prominent roles in Connecticut before, so he has a reputation as a career politician in Connecticut. And for him to to win by such a narrow margin, I think everyone was like, "What the fuck?" Like, wow, that was really, really close.
I give her credit for coming close in the election. My main opinion is that I'm glad she lost. I don't think she had any business running for that position. I think it's more like a vanity kind of deal to put herself over.
Yes, there's a conspiracy angle here.
She spent $50 million of real money that could have gone into the company. Maybe give guys, a break, pay them while they're on vacation or something. They never run these guys to the ground if they work all year. Maybe give each guy a month off and throw them a couple bucks, something like that. And on top of that, the McMahons are never satisfied. The McMahons are the most successful wrestling promoters ever, but they're not satisfied with that. They're always trying something else. First was the World Bodybuilding Federation. They tried. XFL. Now they got the movies. Now they're trying to run for positions in government. So, I think there's better uses for that money and their time and stuff like that. So, whatever. It's my piece on that.
That was Rambo's editorial for the week.
Right.
Okay. So moving on to SmackDown. Not a hell of a lot happened, so we'll probably be pretty quick to cover everything. But basically, the show started off with a match of Edge against Alberto Del Rio. Which was decent, to say the least. It was about a 10-minute match. Went back and forth. Edge was about to win the match with a spear. All of a sudden, unexpectedly, Nexus hits the ring. And the weird thing about this is that Cena and Barrett are not with them. It's Otunga leading everyone else who has basically joined the Nexus, including McGillicuddy and Husky Harris just recently had joined. They beat down Edge and Del Rio. And then all of a sudden, you're like, what's going on? Otunga grabs a mic and says, we're here and we're taking over this time.
We're taking over!
Which, of course, obviously echoes something else that has happened in a wrestling angle before.
Or something that happened 15 years ago as well.
Exactly. So all of a sudden, Big Show comes out, but he's not alone. He comes out with Rey Mysterio. To everyone's surprise, Kane actually comes out. So actually there's some solidarity being shown on the SmackDown side. And they all hit the ring. They beat the crap out of Nexus, throw him out of the ring, and basically say, this is our show. We're the A show right now. You can do this shit on Raw, but you can't pull it on SmackDown. Then they cut the commercial, but when they come back, it's actually announced by Teddy Long that there's going to be a 5-on-5 tag match, which he proclaims will be the biggest tag match in SmackDown history. I'm not really sure about that one. But it's going to be
hasn't really been too many.
Big Show, Kane, Mysterio, Edge, and Del Rio against the 5 Nexus members who were on SmackDown this week in this tag match for the main event. So then up next, there was another singles match. Dolph Ziggler, who oddly came out by himself. No Vicky Guerrero, no Caitlyn, no one with him this week. Against JTG, who I like to call JT Jobber, since he can't win a match since he actually got kicked out of Crying Time.
That's good, I like that.
And basically, Dolph is really aggressive in this match. He does his first finisher, the zigzag, but that's not enough. Then he puts him in the sleeper hole, gets the win. So you're like, all right, wow, Dolph Ziggler actually had a nice, clean match. It had a good finish. Let's cut to commercial. But instead, Caitlyn comes out, of course, to say, congratulations on winning the match. Vicky Guerrero comes out afterwards. Now, there's this big angle for anyone who doesn't know on that web show. They actually kicked it off TV. It's now web show NXT.
Yeah. Why don't we review that show? It sounds good.
Because I don't watch anything on the internet, John. I don't think that anything on the internet is worth watching.
Don't listen to that.
But anyway, so on the web show, there was a big altercation because I guess Caitlyn had been making out with Dolph Ziggler this past week on NXT. So Vicky comes out and says, oh, he was my man first, slaps her. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, if I wanted to watch Days of Our Lives, I'd go watch it. Like, I don't know what they're doing with this stupid angle. So anyway, there's this big altercation, And they cut to the back after commercial, because now they finally cut the commercial. And Vicky interrupts Teddy Long and says, I want revenge on Caitlyn for what's going on. So Teddy makes a singles match of Vicky versus Caitlyn. What the fuck? Why is Vicky wrestling? This is very bad.
She's awesome.
Next, we have we get cut to the back where we see that Nexus has beaten down Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
So Rey Mysterio is all effed up. Then we have another match. It's MVP versus Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match. The winner of this match is going to get an Intercontinental title shot. And the most noteworthy thing that happened in this match is that MVP has new entrance music. Where basically it's ballin', ballin', ballin'. And then
What?
they say it 100 times. He goes, I'm ballin' and I'm ballin'. And it's like the weirdest fucking thing you've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm coming.
They got rid of it. He's not coming
I'm
anymore.
coming.
He's ballin' now.
He's ballin' now.
Maybe someone said something about coming, and they said it was very
It's not PG.
sexually oriented, so they had to change
Get out
his
this guy
entrance
coming
music.
all the time.
You know, it took him 5 years to catch on that his song was not kid-oriented, but so they have a really good, long, drawn-out match. Eventually, Cody and McIntyre, they're not agreeing anymore because remember, they broke up their tag team last week. And it ends up that Cody actually prevents McIntyre from winning the match. So MVP ends up winning the match, and he has the title shot against Dolph Ziggler. And this is actually kind of important for what we've been talking about the past couple weeks. They're actually giving MVP a push again.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's someone who probably deserves it. For a while, he's been losing matches, and you're like, what's going on?
Well, this is what happens with him usually, but then it doesn't continue, so maybe it'll...
We'll see what happens,
maybe it'll
especially with this
progress.
stupid Dolph angle. Maybe they'll put the title on MVP for a while. But so up next is the Vicky versus Caitlyn match, which
This is what happens when you cheat on people. It gets messy.
it's a horrible mess of a freaking. I don't know why they bother. Vicky does absolutely nothing the entire match. Then all of a sudden, at the end of the match, rolls her up and puts her legs on the ropes and gets a 3 count. Vicky wins the match. No, it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's a complete waste of time, and it's the sloppiest thing ever. Horrible. Horrible, 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 horrible.
It was on par with Vince's diarrhea crap.
Pretty much.
Had he actually had his diarrhea shit, that's what would
That's what would have come out. It would have been this match. And that's probably what happened. He shit into a piece of paper, and they said, Vicky versus Caitlyn? Excellent! And they ran out and greenlit that.
Yeah, that was actually Vince's diarrhea dump right there.
So, up next, another backstage scene where Nexus now jumps MVP and Caval and beats them down. So they're really on the
I can't think of these guys out
on
of
the
the arena.
warpath.
Get them out of the arena. Teddy Long, you're in charge of this operation.
Well, this is just another running, I think.
They need those
no
two-
one can control Nexus.
They need those 2 security guards from TNA to come in and help them get them out.
Up next is Chris Masters against Tyler Rex. So this is the first time we've actually seen Tyler Rex on SmackDown since he was on Team SmackDown during the Bragging Rights pay-per-view. Really odd match because Chris Masters dominates the entire match. Then all of a sudden, in the last second, Tyler Rex somehow lands him in his finishing move. And then Michael Cole makes the dumbest thing ever announcement. Wow, Tyler Rex is a dominating victory. It's like Tyler Rex didn't touch him during the whole match. He had one move and won the match. And Michael Cole apparently was like doodling on the side or something
He's
and not
being
watching.
sarcastic. He's like the dick commentator now. It's like a sarcastic thing.
No, I think he was just being stupid or doing what he was told, which made no sense. Now the main event, which was this 5-man tag, at first I thought, wow, because there was actually 30 minutes left on the show when this thing started. But then I forgot that all these people have to come out with their fucking entrances. And by the time that they all came out, 15 minutes had passed. But anyway, the story is that Kofi Kingston replaces Rey Mysterio because Rey Mysterio got beat down in the back earlier. He couldn't perform. Kane comes out with Paul Bearer, which was surprising because usually when you're a strong heel, but then you're doing one of these crossover things, you don't have your angle. But he really is. He was like the heel, but he was still on the good guys team, which was pretty cool. So Big Show accidentally hits Alberto Del Rio during this match, causing Del Rio to quit the team and walk off again. So he walked off on Bragging Rights, and he walked off tonight.
Maybe on Survivor Series.
Maybe on Survivor Series we'll have him as the leader of our team this time because he's so trustworthy. So Edge and Kofi are pretty much the entire match. They're the guys that get beat down. They're getting the hot tags, things like that. At the very end, basically, Kane goes to chokeslam the Big Show out of nowhere. It's really weird. Edge ends up tagging out Kane to try to save the match, gets in there, ends up spearing Kane, turns around, spears Otunga, and wins the match for SmackDown. So really weird clusterfuck ending, but basically it makes Edge look really, really strong heading into the next pay-per-view, which is probably what they want to do, make the number one contender look like the strongest guy on the show right now.
Right.
So it is pretty good. The show, even though it was weird because Nexus intervened, it was a good way to build up both Kane and Edge for the next pay-per-view.
This is what you're trying to do. It should be the purpose of it.
And at the same time, now you have some questions about next week on Raw. What's going to happen when Wade Barrett's back? And he says, what the hell was Otunga doing leading Nexus on SmackDown? So,
Wash my back, Otunga.